Hello, it is I, Sir Devon of Kang, and welcome to a one-off video which is called Video Games and Why I Like Them. So basically, I'm going to name my favourite video games and I'm going to talk about why I think they're why and what makes them so good and a reason to actually like them. So let's dig in. And also, just to say that these games have different age ratings. So I'm going to be reviewing 16, 18 games, 16 plus games, 18 plus games, and I might mention some Wii games, but I can't capture any footage of the Wii because I would have to use my phone to record it. So it's gonna be a blank screen for Wii games. So first up, we have Star Wars Republic Commando. Now I love Republic Commando as much as the next person. This is one of the reasons why I love Star Wars. I mean, this is why I love the Clone Command. This is why I love the Clone Troopers. I mean, it made it feel like a proper stealth mission or a proper mission for the Republic. Like I I also love all the Easter eggs as well that you get. So like there's a Old Republic Easter egg. There's a Razor Crest Easter egg. It looks well. I think it looks familiar to. I think the Republic Commando ship looks like the Razor Crest. And I love that they use Phase 1 clone troopers in this. And that we get to go to Kashyyyk, and it's a prologue to episode not a prologue to Order 66. And now maybe Scorch turned up in the Bad Batch. Maybe we could get another Imperial Commando game. And also the soundtrack. Oh, one of the main reasons I love video games is for their soundtracks, and Republic Commando is no exception. I mean, it makes you feel like you're a commando, like you're going to infiltrate some HQ, and some enemies as well are hard to defeat. I spent like about half an hour trying to defeat a Trandoshan pirate. And I love how we get a tour of the Acclamator class. Although the story, we only have 3 locations, it is it's just beautiful. Staying with Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic 2: The Sith Lords. Out of all the RPGs I've ever played, this is one of my favourites. Out of all the characters in Star Wars, I think Kreia has to be my favourite. Because it gives you philosophical questions. It makes you question yourself if you really listen to what Kreia has to say. And I love how it explored everything. Yeah, the graphics might not be good, but the story is one of the best things that ever came out of Star Wars. And then the Traius core thing, the locations were amazing. And also for the soundtrack, it gave Darth Nihilus' level gave me chills going through the Ravager. Like, I actually felt like Darth Nihilus was somewhere around, lurking in the shadows. Although a lot of people criticize it, I I prefer Knights of the Old Republic over Jedi Fallen Order. Third Star Wars game, The Force Unleashed. One of the greatest Star Wars games ever made. This is how Sam Witwer got into Star Wars. Forget Darth Maul. This is who Sam Witwer was truly born to be. I actually prefer him over Cal Kestis and Ahsoka. Like, the guy nearly killed Darth Vader, for God's sake, and in an alternative ending, he replaces Darth Vader. And actually, this was Sam Witwer's debut as Darth Maul. And another thing I love is how it's Legends accurate. And the second you hear the Starkiller theme, you know that it's come. I mean, the guy brought down a Star Destroyer. And he also uses the same lightsaber stances as Ahsoka Tano. I think that's where Darth Vader got the inspiration from to remember Ahsoka by. And then the final battle, you know, Sam Witwer is a voice acting god. Like, he plays 3 roles in this. And then also, the second game, it's not bad, but it's not the best. I prefer it over Jedi Fallen Order anyway. Because Galen Marek kills Darth Vader. Sorry, minor Legends nerd. But one question, though, I have on The Force Unleashed 2. What about Starkiller's clone? Sorry, I'm going off on a rant here. Surely, if the Empire destroyed Kamino, does the Emperor change his mind and say to Vader, we effed up really badly, so we got to build a new Kamino? Sorry, it's just my opinion that I consider Legends canon, and although I love the Bad Batch, it's one of the... I think the Bad Batch is amazing. Like, it's not perfect, but it's like the Clone Wars. It's brilliant. The Bad Batch is... I love the Bad Batch, okay? I don't disrespect it. I'm just a Legends fan. Next up, original Star Wars Battlefront 2. Oh, I love this. When I first got it on PC, I loved every minute of it. I mean, you had the 501st, you had bosses in it, that you had maps, you had Easter eggs, you had it all. And Tamora Morrison guided you through the 501st journal. Tell me that the OG Battlefront 2 is not your favourite. Because you need to play it. You should play it. It's better than the new one anyway, in my opinion. And oh, it's just... This was also an outing of the future voices of Clone Wars characters. So Tom Kane as Yoda, Obi-Wan, James Arnold Taylor as Obi-Wan. Also, it gave you a bit of the Kamino Rebellions, which we're sadly never going to see in the Bad Batch because of Disney. And another reason is that it guided you through what happens. So it was the first. So the Death Star plans and the Polis Massa mission was sort of like Rogue One. I think of it as a prologue to Rogue One, sort of, yeah. And then it shows you that the Empire Strikes Back is the last hurrah for the 501st before clone troopers were phased out altogether. And the space battles, oh, I obsessed over space battles. I know it's old, but nostalgia is good. The new Star Wars Battlefront 2. No, now, all I'm going to say is the graphics. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying there. Other than that, we'd rather not talk about the second one, the newer Battlefront 2. Money, 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 money. Next up, we have Halo. What can I say about this? Like, I'm currently playing the Master Chief Collection, and I've only got through Halos 1, and I'm nearly through Halo 2. So far, I'm loving it. And I love the function where you press the button and it goes back to the old graphics for nostalgia. And the soundtrack, oh, don't get me started. It's so... oh, I could spend an hour complimenting Halo soundtracks. And the newer updated graphics and... oh... and also they made the characters likable. Definitely you have to play it. Next up, Deus Ex Mankind Divided. So basically this is a free roaming game. And your main character, Adam Jensen, works as a secret agent or a double agent. And it's kind of like all the cops are after you, but in a good way. Although I sometimes find the weapons in the game frustrating. There's a lot of nice side missions and the cutscenes where you transition from going on the subway is brilliant. And it just shows you that maybe a solution for the future. This could help a lot of people who are on immunosuppressant therapy, who have chronic health conditions. Definitely. And also you have to make hard choices. Definitely worth a go. Next up, Mass Effect. Everything about this game is great. Everything is playable. I mean, it has a lot of voice actors from Star Trek. It's got a lot of famous voice actors in it. And out of all the three games, I actually prefer the second. Mainly because you could explore the Normandy more freely. And I prefer the Cerberus Normandy to the other two Normandies that we've got. And that you get to interact with the crew down in the engineering deck. And it starts out with Shepard being brought back to life by Miranda. And you explore a lot of things that, and the soundtrack is to die for. I mean, the final mission, it's up to you who you let live and who dies. If you don't get their loyalty, then basically they're dead. The squad mates are dead. And it's more story focused, I think. And that's what I love about Mass Effect 2. And it has a lot of things that I feel Mass Effect 3, then the opening scene is like a disaster movie. The close shots of the Reapers, it feels like you're actually there and Reapers are actually invading Earth. Definitely worth a go. Transformers War for Cybertron. This is the greatest Transformers game ever made. This and Fall of Cybertron are the greatest Transformers games ever created. Much better than Transformers Devastation, not that I've played it. But this, it was so good. And it gave us voice actors other than Frank Welker as Megatron. And it also explored, it also gave Barricade another outing since his movie. And it also gave us reincarnations of Breakdown and soundtracks, Brawl, Onslaught in the DLC, Sentinel Prime, Omega Supreme and Trypticon. This was every Transformers fan's ideal game. Not just did it have campaigns from the Decepticon and Autobot perspectives, but the multiplayer customization menus were, and you also had abilities that suited the characters. So Skywarp had a cloak ability and a shockwave ability. It was all part of it was all, it was all part of one of the greatest franchises known to man. And I wish we could have got more Transformers games like War and Fall. I hope we either get a remaster or a prequel. This was my Transformers War for Cybertron. Not the Netflix series, the games. And it's the reason why Fred Tassicor will always be my favourite Megatron. Because he made Megatron feel like a leader. Now I've got some Lego games. Now, everybody, you might cry from nostalgia here. Wii Sports. Everyone had this game. It was actually the very first Wii game, or the very first console game that I ever played. You could use your own Miis in sports. It had up to 5, and also had up to 5 separate sports, and a main menu theme that made everyone know that this was a good game. Wii Sports is definitely a play for anyone who still owns a Wii. Lego Star Wars 3: The Clone Wars. Now everyone loved Star Wars: The Clone Wars when it came out, especially in Lego form. I bet when a lot of people heard about this game coming out, they lost their minds. You could go from seasons 1 to seasons 1 and 2. And you could have it was just so iconic. And you started off during episode 2, Attack of the Clones. It had no voice acting. Well, it did have the classic Lego noises that Lego minifigures made in Lego games. But it was all worth it in the end. And you could switch between a Republic cruiser, a Venator class, and a Separatist cruiser. And you could go to any planet you wanted using hyperspeed. It plus it also you could play as a lot of iconic clones from the first two seasons, like Echo, Fives, Heavy. It's a shame that Echo is the only one left. Lego Harry Potter Years 1 to 4. This guided you through the first 4 movies of Harry Potter. I remember first hearing about first seeing the advert, I wanted it. And I think you could also customize your own levels as well, and the bonuses that you could find in Gringotts. Although years 5 to 7 was an improvement on world roaming, years 1 to 4, however, had a sense of warmth to it. It had a sense of it's a family-friendly Lego game with nothing bad happening. Well, with nothing gory, nothing bad. Just a Lego game that everyone loved to play the hell out of. Heck, I certainly did. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. There's something I love about car games. You could race anywhere from Las Vegas, Rio de Janeiro. Although it didn't have a lot of Dubai, although it didn't have a lot of iconic locations, it had the choice of customizable cars. Although it was EA, and you know what EA are like with their money. The soundtrack was banger. You could rock out while speeding at 100 miles per hour. Don't really do that, kids. And it was so good. Although now the graphics have aged, it is worth a play. It had a lot of power-ups that made it feel like a Transformers movie. It was just everything. Skylanders Giants. I wasn't a big Skylanders fan, but I remember using the Giants or some of the toys to pretend they were my own things. A bit like Huntik and Yu-Gi-Oh! But the fact that you could rename your Skylanders, upgrade their abilities, and a lot of it was so nostalgic, and the theme song when you came on made you realize this is going to be an epic adventure. And I used to believe that Yon was real sometimes. I know. What do I do with my life? Now the Wii U. Now I know the Wii U is kind of hated by a lot of people, but I was one of the people who, wow, I had to get a replacement for the Wii. Although the Wii U wasn't an improvement to the original Wii console, I still remember the first game that I got was Transformers Prime the game. My favorite Transformers series. Like, that was what got me into Transformers in the first place. I remember watching the cartoons, and when I heard that a game was coming out, I was overjoyed. So I pre-ordered it before the Wii U even got released. Sorry, pardon me. Before it even got released. Or before our Wii U arrived. And it was amazing. The first thing the soundtrack is again, good. And you had a lot of boss fights that you wouldn't see otherwise. So you had Ratchet versus Soundwave, and Ratchet had a big spanner coming out of his hand. Don't ask me. Bumblebee had a giant cannon thing coming out of his hands, similar to the movie Bumblebee, or similar to the Weaponizer toy. Optimus Prime had his axe. Megatron had his blade thing popping out of his cannon. Starscream had dual missile launchers. Dreadwing's machine gun thingy got even bigger to fire rocket blasts. Arachnid spider things grew to shoot webs out of them. Soundwave's arms thing grew speakers so you could blast people with the supersonic blasts. You know, Knockout had a saw and a drill thing. RC had multiple blades coming out of her arms like she did in the show. Even the humans played a role in it. Bulkhead had a big wrecking ball, similar to the show. And you had different types of Veercons that I kind of wish we had toys of. So you had car Veercons, jet Veercons, like you saw in the show. You had tanker Veercons, tank Veercons, and helicopter Veercons. It would have been sweet to have seen figures of these guys. I would have brought them immediately. But it's a real shame though that Wheeljack didn't make an appearance, nor Shockwave. And then the Thunderwing boss battle. I know it's kind of like the Trypticon boss fight, but I'd like to have seen more meaning behind Thunderwing in the show. And I'd have liked to have seen a scene with him and Unicron interacting. But other than that, it one of the best Transformers games that I've played. Next, Lego City Undercover. Oh, we all lost it when this was announced. I bet when this first was released, I went insane. I was impatient and wanting and praying to God that it would come to me immediately. Heck, and they had original characters. This was all a separate Lego game. So we had Chase McCain, Frank Honey, Chief Dunby, Ellie Phillips. It also added humour to Lego games, and it was also a free roaming in Lego City. And by the way, yes, I did fall into the river sometimes, and no, the rescue helicopter did not come and help me. But it brought back a lot of nostalgia and featuring the Lego sets that we love. You had all sorts of transportation. You had trains, you had helicopters, sort of planes, if you count Rex Fury's vehicle. Cars, taxis, everything was in it, and you explored through nearly all three emergency services. And I personally, and also I like how they based it off some famous locations around the world. And the final level, no one expected that to happen. No one expected Chase McCain to go to space and stop a rich billionaire. But there was one problem though. It glitched out at some point. It immediately froze without any it just froze and then nothing really happened. But that's the only problem I had with it. Other than that, one of the great video games that I've played. So that ends this video here. I really enjoyed doing this. I enjoyed remembering all those times that I had when I played the games. These are just some of my favourite games. I haven't covered all my video games in my collection because that would take forever. And I hope this has brought back some memories for you guys as well. So let's think. Remember, just going to see you all in the next video. So goodbye, good night, too sweet.